Hi friends, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. So in the previous video, we have seen actually how the browser works. And we have seen that how we can fetch the resources using the network layer. So in the network layer, how we can fetch the resources. After the fetching the resources or the data, we need to process the data. The processing of data involves three stages. There is nothing but one is the render engine, and another one is the JavaScript engine, and the last one is the UI backend. So these are the three things briefly we have discussed. So here we have seen it, right? Somewhere we have seen, yeah. So render engine, JavaScript engine, and the UI backend. So now we will try to see in this video about the render engine and the JavaScript engine. After fetching the data from the network layer, then the data needs to be processed. So processing the data involves these layers. So let's try to learn about this render engine and JavaScript engine, how the data will be processed. So here, this is our thing. We'll try to learn about the render engine and the JavaScript engine. Later in the next video, we'll learn about the UI backend. Fine. Let's see this one. The rendering engine is responsible for displaying the requested content. So this is the main thing. Rendering engine and the JavaScript engine both are different. So rendering engine is responsible for displaying the requested content. We have seen at the first time, so how the browser layout works in that one. We have seen the DOM and the CSS DOM construction, and the next one involves all the render tree. I will try to show you those things also. First, the rendering engine is responsible for displaying the requested content. The rendering engine can display any kind of data. So here, don't think that rendering engine displays only the HTML content. It can display any kind of data. In fact, it will display data according to your specified content type or the MIME type. So you know about this content type header. So what is the content type header you will be getting? So it will display the data according to your specified content type or the MIME type. For example, HTML, images, XML, CSS, and also the JSON, etc. So these all the data will be displayed in the browser using the rendering engine only. Many rendering engine are available that are usually written in the C++. This one also we have discussed in our previous videos, that most of the rendering engines are developed usually using the C++ language. It's a software. And also different browsers can use the different render engines. So different browsers have different types of render engines. Chrome and Opera uses the Blink, but Firefox uses the Gecko, and Safari uses the WebKit, etc., etc. So these are the most popular web browsers. Chrome and Opera uses the Blink, Firefox uses the Gecko, and the Safari uses the WebKit. And for any web page you visit, the key part of the rendering HTML is the HTML parser. So any web page if you try to visit, the key part is the rendering engine. For the key part for the rendering engine is the HTML parser. For example, if the requested content is the HTML parser within the rendering engine has to read the HTML and CSS and display that parsed content on the screen. So hope you understood about this one. And once the rendering engine has parsed the HTML and CSS, a render tree object is constructed. So this is the main thing. So once the rendering engine has parsed the HTML and CSS, render tree object is constructed. And once this render tree is constructed, it undergoes the layout and the painting process and displays the output on the screen. So once this render tree is constructed, so next comes the layout and the painting process, which displays the output on the screen. Remember, in our previous video, we went through the 4 stages of how the rendering process happens. The first stage was the creation of the rendering tree, that is nothing but the DOM and CSS DOM. The second, third, and fourth stage were all render tree related, and the first part was the construction of that render tree, and the second and third was layout and painting. So in the first video, of the website performance, I have told you about the 4 stages. First one is the DOM and CSS DOM construction, where the render tree is created. And here the second, third, and fourth, those all 3 are related to the render tree. So second part is the render tree construction, and the third and fourth are related to the layout and the painting. After the render tree is created, the browser starts the layout process. So when the render tree is created afterwards, then the browser starts the layout process. This layout process actually calculates the exact dimensions of where your elements go in the page. So where the different elements like HTML elements and all those things go into the page, so the exact dimensions, the layout process calculates it. Next is the painting process. Now that we have the layout sorted, we need to fill it with style. So style means in other words CSS. A painting process includes filling the layout with style attributes like color, background, and other CSS properties. So these are all the CSS properties which we will be having, like color, background, border, and these all the properties will be undergone in the painting process. The first layer is done, that is render engine. Now we need to move to the second phase. I have already told you that in our first thing, after fetching the resources in the network layer, it needs to pass to the rendering engine and it needs to pass to the process the data. It needs to process the data. In the processing of the data, so 3 steps are involved. One is the render engine, second one is the JavaScript engine, and the last one is the UI backend. So the first one, render engine, is completed. Render engine means which renders the data and displays it. So in the render engine, what it will try to do, it will try to parse the HTML and all those things. And next comes the layout and the painting process. Layout, it will try to determine the exact dimensions of where the elements exactly fit. And afterwards the layout is done, painting is done. Painting is nothing but the applying the CSS to the HTML thing. Now that layer is done, that is render engine. Now we need to move to the second phase, that is JavaScript engine. This is the subsystem for parsing the JavaScript code to the machine code and then executing it. So here, so this is subsystem for parsing. So here it will parse the JavaScript code to the machine code and then it will execute it. These JavaScript engines can be a standard interpreters or just-in-time compilers. These engines are usually interpreters. One of the most popular engine is the Google V8 engine, which is also written in the C++. But Safari uses the JavaScript core and Firefox uses the Spider Monkey, Edge uses the Chakra, and Internet Explorer uses the Chakra or the JScript. So these are the different types of JavaScript engines available in the different browsers. These two engines includes actually two components. So I don't want to go deep into this, how this JavaScript engine actually works. So it has mainly two components. One is the memory heap and another one is the call stack. Just I will give you a high level introduction to this memory heap and call stack. I don't want to explain you deep into this one. This actually takes a separate course to explain about this memory heap and the call stack. Memory heap is just where memory is allocated for variables and functions and other JavaScript elements. Call stack, on the other hand, is kind of just simply a queue of a stack of frames or sequential steps executed by the browser. As you know that JavaScript is a single threaded language and each execution step is just a stack frame in JavaScript. So this is the about this JavaScript engine. Now the JavaScript engine is completed. So now the third one is the UI backend. UI backend is used for drawing the basic widgets like combo boxes and the windows. So you'll be able to see this window.alert, window.prompt, these type of things, platform independent things will be there, right? Windows. So these things comes under the UI backend. It is used for drawing everything in the browser, both in the user interface and in the rendering engine. This backend exposes a generic interface that is not platform specific. So those are nothing but what I can say is these alert boxes and all those things. So these are all the three phases in which the actually processing of the data occurs. So now we have completed the fetching and the process. So let's try to see about the another one is nothing but the storage thing. So we have seen about the storage thing also, right? So the storage thing also we'll try to see. So hope you understood about this one. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.